son is racing.
Welcome, race fans, to another episode of the Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. We have all your action from Richmond Raceway for the Toyota Owners 400 with a Toyota sitting on the pole this weekend. Stages are at laps 100, lap 200, and then we race the final 200 laps to lap 400 where we'll crown the victor.
This is historically one of the most rich tracks on the record. This is 7 races here at Richmond, but the last 7 races here, the winners come from the top 5 in the last 7 races. 2 1-to-1s, so the winner is definitely going to come from the top 5. My guess is going to be continuing of tradition here, and it's going to be a 1-to-1 again with Martin Truex Jr. going 1-to-1 again on Saturday night.
All right, kids. Well, weather, there's actually no weather threat this weekend. Just a nice spring night at the racetrack there at Richmond. I feel like I haven't got to say that all season. But guys, I want to thank Liehr. Liehr is at one of our buddies' 40th birthday parties in Florida, doing this from Daytona on the beach, well, at the hotel close to the beach. So thank you for doing this. He might be a little bit party influenced, but
I've had a few cocktails this evening. I'm not going to lie to anybody. Celebrating his 40th birthday party, but you know what? I'm committed to the family. I'm committed to the fan base here that we have, and definitely not going to let anybody down.
I know you were traveling, but you were able to watch qualifying and practice in the bars. So we've got a situation with the back of the Packers, as I'd like to call them. Rowdy this week didn't make it out of the first round of qualifying and is starting 32nd. We've got the Dingers starting 33rd, Keselowski starting 28th, Suarez starting 26th, Almirola starting 25th, and even Austin Dillon starting 23rd are far below where they're expected to finish this week, and that creates a conundrum. What's your thought of the back of the Packers, and how much are you going to roster Rowdy this week, buddy?
Hey, brother. I mean, and to use the words of your specific language, I'm going to say there is a plethora of opportunity this week when it comes to drivers. I'm actually going to say, I mean, you've got to be quite heavy on Rowdy Busch this week based on where he's starting at. I mean, obviously we know that this is one of his best tracks that he runs here in the NASCAR circuit. So it's definitely one of your opportunities to gain a guy that's going to be a dominator. Now, he's obviously not going to – I don't think he's going to lead a ton of laps, but this is an opportunity for him to be a place differential guy. But I mean, for mind frame of how the race scenario is going to go, I wouldn't put it past him, you know, coming through the pack and eventually winning the race tomorrow night. Do you?
No, I wouldn't. And as a matter of fact, there's a bunch of guys this week that have really good track history here, and I'm going to talk about quite a bit of them when we get to the Burning Rubber segment. Which, you know what? Let's go ahead and get there. We can talk a little bit more about some of these guys in detail further on in the show. So, Liehr, can we get a Daytona style, even though we're at Richmond, but you're in Daytona? Can we get a Florida Burner Rubber baby this week?
Man, I am excited to be here this weekend. I have never been to the Daytona area. I've been to Florida a handful of times, a lot of times to the Clearwater Beach area, but never to the Daytona side of it. I think this weekend I'm going to have the opportunity of going to the racetrack this weekend and checking it out and seeing what it's all about. And I'm really excited about that, but let's do it Richmond style, brother.
Okay, before you do...
I love the Richmond style, baby!
I was going to give you bonus points if you get hotel security called on you. That was pretty impressive.
I know, right? I mean, it is 12:34 a.m. here in Daytona, Florida. And actually, our neighbor to the west of us is our brother, John. He's actually here. He's out here on the patio. So he actually is still awake, but his wife is probably passed out. But no clue who's to the east of us, but we'll see if they call security on us. But I'm sure we're going to be good, bro.
Or at least they were asleep until you screamed Burning Rubber Baby at the top of your lungs.
Oh, yeah.
At 1:30 in the morning. It's 12:30 Central Time, brother. It's 1:30 out there.
Oh, it is. My clock on my computer is obviously wrong. It is 1:35 a.m. here, so yes.
Partying aside and possible hotel security call, who's your pick to burn some rubber this week, buddy?
By the way, coming off the race here at Bristol last week, dude, awesome show again last week when we talked about Ricky Stenhouse and the Sunny D. Hopefully you recovered well from that one. But this week here, I mean, I don't know. It was intuition, but also there were just signs from other areas coming through this week. Our date today, coming from Kansas City to Daytona, was number 78. And who went out there today and got the pole and was fastest in most of the practices today? But I'm going to be rolling with the number 78, my boy, Martin Truex Jr. And obviously accomplishing getting on top of the pole. He's going to lead a ton of laps tomorrow. His price this week is pretty expensive at $10,500. He's going to lead a ton of laps tomorrow, and based on his experience in Richmond Speedway, it's extensive that, you know, most fantasy owners would think. But Richmond is actually one of his worst tracks that he has here on the Monster Cup series, but it's his 19th best track. And currently, out of 24 starts, he's got 0 wins. He's got 2 top 5s and 8 top 10s. His practices today, he was top 3 in speed, but also top 10 in average as well. So he's going to go out tomorrow, lead a ton of laps, in my opinion. And I think he's definitely going to go 1-1 tomorrow. I think he's going to win the race tomorrow. This is going to be his second win of the 2018 season, which has only been done twice in the last 2 seasons, as of 2014, which was Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin in 2016, which occurred in the fall in both races. But in my opinion, he's going to be a must-own play, and he's definitely going to be a must-own guy in your lineups tomorrow. So my recommendation tomorrow is definitely own to Martin Truex Jr. Obviously, we saw a little bit of pre-qual here tonight in Xfinity. I watched a little bit of it earlier this evening, but the guy that gets up front is going to stay up front. And if you've got the fastest car, which obviously Martin Truex Jr. after the practices today has the fastest car, he's going to be one of your dominator guys. Even if you finish top 5, if he doesn't win the race, you know, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, he's still going to be a must-own play because he's going to lead a ton of laps tomorrow. So what's your opinion on that, brother?
I like Truex. I think he's really fast this weekend. But the problem is he's not known for being a short track racer. And
sure.
I think for as not good as he is on short tracks, he's going to be way over-owned because he's sitting on the pole. And practice is skewed because we're looking at daytime race data versus a nighttime race. I don't know, man. Part of me wants to fade Truex, but part of me thinks that it may be the dumbest move of the weekend by fading Truex. But if you fade Truex and go some other options, it's really easy to fit Rowdy and some other studs on there. When you go Rowdy and Truex, it starts getting tight quick, and you really are forced almost to leave Keselowski off that team, and that's not something you want to do necessarily with his history here. It just, I don't know, man. It puts me in a tough position anytime I'm trying to roster Truex, and the whole time I'm thinking, I'm banking on a guy to dominate here and finish really well here when that's not his bread and butter. And that's, I don't know, that's got me a little bit off the Truex, man. I'll let you have a chance to argue back, though, before I go to my burning rubber picks.
No, definitely. I respect the position on where you're standing on it. I mean, for sure. I mean, to have a guy like Kyle Busch starting in the 32nd position, being the top rated guy, and then also Martin Truex Jr. starting from the 1st position. I mean, obviously, this puts us in a quandary when it comes to rostering guys. And then having Keselowski starting 28, 2 of the top 4 priced guys are starting 25th or higher. I mean, I don't know how you go about not rostering both of those guys and not getting a dominator on your lineup. So I'm guaranteeing that there's going to be a lot of lineups that start Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski. But then that's going to leave you pretty short on the back end. So my guess is you're going to probably have to go with 2 of the 3 guys tomorrow. And then, you know, I think there's probably going to be another guy that goes in there tomorrow and leads more laps because I don't think Truex is going to completely dominate the whole entire race. I do think he's probably going to win tomorrow, but I mean, we've got other really top-notch guys starting the top 5. I've actually got one of the top 5 guys going to my going to garage pick. I definitely say you definitely have to start your lineups with Rowdy, Truex. And if you want to roster Keselowski, I think that's definitely an option, something you're probably going to have to do. But I also think that there's going to be better options when it comes to spending that salary in other drivers this week as well. So as I talked about last week in fading Harvick, which I do have to top my own horn, was the correct pick last week. You didn't have to play Harvick last week. I think this week it's going to be kind of a tweener. I really do like Keselowski, but, getting Truex, Kyle Busch, and then Keselowski in your lineup is going to make it really hard on the back end to make it work. So you're going to have to make decisions this weekend. It's going to be a tough decision, but I think my opinion is definitely rolling Truex and Rowdy and then taking it from there.
Yeah, well, the reason why I'm not so on Truex is there's just other guys I like more. For example, Hamlin, who dominates at this track, is only 9,800. I'm almost saving $1,000 by jumping down there. I can also get Logano at 9,500. Kyle Larson, who seems to be a favorite across the industry, at 10,100. I think he'll be a little bit over-owned, more so than Hamlin and Logano. But we're not talking, and neither is anybody in the industry, about Kevin Harvick, who I'm finding super intriguing, but he's 11,200, which even tightens the salary worse than what we were talking about with the Truex play. But he's starting 10th. We've seen that 10th position pay off multiple times because it gives you a nice place differential, especially if they're a car that's going to dominate. I think he might be also the lowest owned driver this week out of these quote-unquote studs. And I don't know that I want to miss out on Harvick this week. Nobody's talking about him. So, like, if I have to go with a burning rubber this week, I would go with Harvick just because no one's talking about him. But instinctually, I have to keep in mind the Hamlins, the Loganos, the Larsons of the world. And I'm trying to fit these guys in lineups. But, man, the salary with having to play Rowdy and really having to play Kes, in my opinion, is tough. You're going to have to take stands this week.
Yeah, brother. Kevin Harvick, starting from that 10th position, obviously gives you an opportunity for place differential, but also the opportunity to lead some laps and be a dominant. And he did that 2 years ago in 2016 in the spring race. He started second and finished second, but he led 142 laps, so he was definitely a must-own play. But last year, he started from the 10th and 7th position and had some poor finishes. 18th when he started 7th and 35th when he started 10th here in the fall. But here's the thing with that, though. They were still in the kind of test phase of getting used to Ford and how Ford kind of runs all these tracks. So historically here, though, he really doesn't have great finishes here. His best finish here is the second place finish, which he finished second 2 years in a row in 2015 and 2016. So that gave him 2 years in a row, but 17 and 18, he's got 2 higher finishes than what he started. So I don't know, man. I'm probably going to have a little bit of exposure to Harvick, but not a ton. I'm definitely going to be leaning on Truex and Keselowski and Rowdy. I think I'm going to be fading quite a bit of Harvick this weekend. So, yeah, he's probably going to come with a lower than anticipated ownership percentage. I'm going to say less than 15% when it comes to his ownership percentage. So it is a risk when we play these games. And, if you want to take a guy that has an opportunity to obviously go out there and be a dominator when it comes to the race tomorrow night, yeah, Harvick is a great chance and a great opportunity to make that risk. But in my opinion, I think that your dollars are spent in other directions that would be better suited for your lineups.
No, and that's solely the reason why I'm arguing this, right? I don't think I would even be talking necessarily about how I'm really intrigued about Harvick if it wasn't for the entire industry overlooking him this week, in my opinion. And we're talking about a guy that was fastest in practice 1 in 10-lap averages and was top 10 in practice 2 in 10-lap averages. I don't have a problem with that car, and when all the cars were separated by less than 4/10 in the top 12, you can guess pretty much any of those cars to dominate. And if they have the ability as a driver to get up front and dominate, they're going to be able to do it, especially if the team can make that minor adjustment that's going to get them ahead and make them be able to pull off the bump and run and gain some position.
I want to ask you real quick before we continue, but I want to know what your thoughts are on Jimmie Johnson this week. I mean, it's a guy that's starting in the 17th position 2 weeks in a row for Jimmie Johnson, a guy that is the active wins leader when it comes to Richmond Raceway. Obviously, he's got 6 wins when it comes to the category here. He's a top-rated driver here and top-rated most active driver. He's led the most laps out of any driver here. He's starting from the 17th position. Had a great finish last week. Was a must-own on lineups last week. He finished, I believe it was 3rd. $9,100 this week. What are your thoughts on Jimmie Johnson?
I absolutely love Jimmie Johnson. That car was way faster than it qualified for. And as we've seen the last couple of weeks, they've apparently started to right the ship. The problem is because of his salary, you can't squeeze all these guys in. You have to sacrifice. And if you're trying to play Rowdy, Kez, and Jimmie, you have zero chance of playing a Dominator. Right? There's just not enough salary left. I don't know, man. People are going to have to leave 1 or 2 of these guys out to make lineups happen this week. And that's just, it's scary, especially with a car that looks that good. I love Jimmie Johnson. And to be honest, it might even be a sneaky play for that car to get up and dominate this week as fast as it looks in practice.
I love the Jimmie Johnson play this week. I think starting from that 17th position, it is a guy that you have to find room to get into your lineups this week, especially when we're going 2-2, short track to short track, back to back.
Yeah, and I don't think most people will. I think most people will overlook him for the Rowdy play and the Kez play. I think instinctually they'll go there, and then they're automatically out of money once they play a Dominator, and he's not going to be owned. He'll be super low owned. An intriguing start to a lineup might be him and Harvick, and then some of the guys in the back, and just hope that hope that early domination is split. Oh, there's the birthday boy making an appearance.
Yeah, birthday boy just showed up here.
Hi, Johnny. Happy birthday.
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Happy 40th. Good. Oh, thanks. You look good.
I love your beard.
Oh, thanks.
Go NASCAR. Hey, who's your pick this weekend? Actually, I like Truex Jr.
There you go.
He's going to do really well. I did not say anything to him, by the way, while we were out earlier. I think his car ran really well in today's practice rounds. He had really good times, and I think he's going to do good. So if you guys want to bet on that. There
you go. Some advice from the birthday boy himself.
Johnny Steele, 40 years old.
He's also on Truex.
40 years young. Thank you.
So Liehr can get back to the party. Let's go ahead and get to the value segment. Liehr, who do you have for us for some value this week?
Yeah, brother. I mean, there is actually quite a few options when it comes to who you're going to roster this week when it comes to saving some salary on your teams. But I'm definitely going to be going with A.J. Allmendinger and the JTG Doherty vehicle number 47. But,
a little bit of a drunken mouthful there.
Oh, yeah. We've been drinking a little bit. It's kind of hard to get it out. So you just got to try, and if it doesn't work, you got to try again. So
I like it, Liehr. I like it.
But he's been pretty unsuccessful here at Richmond and has landed a qualifying position of 33rd this week. But he was practicing in the 17th position in the first practice, and second practice he was the 10th fastest, which is his best 10-lap average was 17th fastest, and he's $6,200 this week. He will provide a tremendous fantasy value for your teams, barring an unforeseen issue with the team and with the race tomorrow. But I love A.J. Allmendinger this week. He tends to do a lot better when it comes to the flatter tracks and the short tracks. So you can't help but like a guy starting from a 33rd position in A.J. Allmendinger at a $6,200 value. So I'm going to be rolling quite a few A.J. Allmendingers this weekend. What do you think, brother?
No, I agree with you. Dinger's on my list of guys to play. Another guy that I'm looking to is Daniel Hemrick at $5,900. I know he wrecked out in the Xfinity race and it cost you some money.
Yeah, screwed me.
And he's starting 22nd, which might give some people some pause. But he's in one of the RCR cars, and RCR traditionally does really well here at Richmond. And I think that at $5,900, you're not going to get a quality of driver of Daniel Hemrick or a quality of car at that cost, at that price point. And the cool thing about Hemrick is he doesn't have a Monster Cup Series start here, but in 2 Xfinity starts, he has 2 top 5 finishes, finishing 3rd and 4th place. I think that majority of people are going to go where it's comfortable and safe and play Ty Dillon at 5,600 in the RCR affiliated car starting 31st. I also love that play. I don't think it's wrong. But a great pivot is Hemrick, and I don't think there's anything to stop you from being able to play both of these guys this weekend. Liehr, your thoughts?
No, I definitely hear you there. You know, Hemrick obviously probably will have a little bit less ownership percentage because he's a less known guy. And even starting in that position with the equipment that he's in, it's definitely going to be a value for you, something that I'm probably going to be hindering on. You know, somebody that I definitely like. Another guy that I do like as well is a guy that had a pretty great finish last week at Bristol, but also led a few laps, and that's Darrell Wallace Jr. and starting from the 18th position. He's going to be a guy that you can be able to fit onto your lineups this week. Somebody that, you know, obviously doesn't have a ton of experience here on the Sprint Cup circuit, but a guy that you're going to get at $6,000 and somebody that's starting from the 18th position. Now, obviously, he's in a single car team. He doesn't have, you know, the team members to bounce information off of, but also a guy that's coming off a pretty confident finish last week, and he was disappointed in himself. And I know that's going to let a fire into him when it comes to tomorrow's race. So I really like Darrell Wallace Jr. when it comes to tomorrow, even though statistically, when it comes to the data, he doesn't quite have the numbers here. But it's a guy that, you know, you got to believe in Bubba, and you got to have the Bubba love. And I think he's a guy that's going to come back tomorrow and prove everybody wrong this week. I think he's going to probably come with a low ownership percentage. So I think it's definitely a guy that you got to think about when it comes to rostering value guys when it comes to your rosters tomorrow.
Yeah, and Bubba is also in an RCR affiliated car now. Like, they have that partnership worked out with RCR.
Yeah.
And so I expect that car to have a great week as well as Newman. And that's also a play that very few people are talking about. He's starting closer towards the front, but I don't have a problem if you want to play Newman. The problem is, once again, salary and getting these guys all in a lineup together.
How about our boy David Reagan after last week? You know, it was a guy that we talked about value, and a guy that, even though he started from the 22nd position, came with quite a bit of controversy. But he ended up paying off last week and had an awesome finish. I think he finished 12th, wasn't it? Yeah, finished 12th last week at Bristol. And then this week goes out and freaking drives the car really, really fast and comes with a 15th qualifying position. So not somebody I'm really going to be looking at this week when it comes to, you know, $5,500 salary, but starting from the 15th position. But I think when it comes to the lower tier guys, other guys I'm looking at is Ross Chastain, starting from that 30th position. And then even Landon Castle. Landon Castle paid off last week. And I know that he's in the single ride for Star Racing, but I mean, starting from a 36th position and having a $4,700 salary, that's definitely a guy I'm looking at to give me some salary relief and help me get some of those bigger boys on my roster, so that way I can get the Keselowskis, the Rowdy Bushes, and the Martin Truex Jr.'s all in my lineup.
You know how I know you've been drinking? You recommended Jeffrey Earnhardt's old car in that Star.com.
Right?
Like, that's how I know you're intoxicated tonight, sir. That is a crazy play.
Hey, man. The guy that won the big boy last week, he had Landon Castle in his lineup. I did have a couple Landon Castles last week just because that's what forced me into the remaining salary that I had left on my lineups, and that's how I had to roll with. But he ended up paying off last week. I don't know if he can do it 2 weeks in a row, but starting from a 36th position, it's opportunity that you can't pass up, I think.
All right, guys. I want to get Liehr back to this party. I feel bad taking him away from it. So it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Going to the Garage, where we get to talk a little bit of trash on drivers or on NASCAR or on DraftKings. Last week we sent DraftKings to the garage, and you guys came through with an overwhelming response and agreement. This week, I think we're going back to drivers. Liehr, who are you sending to the garage this week, buddy?
I'm going to be rolling with Chase Elliott this week and the number 19 when it comes to my going to garage pick. Him and the Chevy team and Hendrick have just been struggling in 2018. His cost this week's $9,300. It's definitely not going to be a guy that you want to get when it comes to your lineups. He's got 0 wins here, 0 top 5s, and 1 top 10. He's starting from the second position tomorrow. He's definitely not going to pay off his salary. He's not going to lead any laps, in my opinion. He's definitely going to fall back in the field. Avoid Elliott like the plague tomorrow. But it just hurts me to say that because this is a guy that I really thought that was going to kind of take the wheel and really roll with it and start getting some wins this season. But he's really been disappointing this season. And it's hard to say that. But, starting from the second position tomorrow, I just don't have the confidence in him, brother, to go out and lead any laps and then get any, obviously, place differential. So that just leaves him in the hump of garbage and somewhere that you just can't play. And unfortunately, that is reality. So,
no, at his salary with the guys that we have or that we're having to play this week, the only way you can play Chase Elliott is if you have him dominating this race and leading a bunch of laps. I don't have that happening, therefore I can't make him as a play. Another guy that I think is overqualified and just not in a position where you can play him this week is Jamie McMurray. We've been going to the well. It cost us going to the Jamie Mack well early in the season because he wasn't finishing well, and then we stuck with it and he started paying off. But I just don't think there's any way J-Mac can pay off this week. Do you think there's any way J-Mac can get it done? He's actually decent at this track and does well here, but I don't know, man. He's not traditionally a guy that leads laps. So what is your thought?
No, I'm right there with you when it comes to Jamie McMurray starting from the 8th position. I think it's somebody he's going to be sticking probably up towards the top 10 for the first half of the race. But as the race progresses on, it's hard to even make me think that he's going to even be a top 15 car when it comes to tomorrow night's race. So obviously definitely somebody that you're not going to want to roster for your lineups tomorrow. So I'm not going to be playing any J-Mac tomorrow.
Well, guys, I want to get Liehr back to this birthday party. We've taken enough of his time. Go ahead and give us last week's winner of the for our league and say your goodbyes and get us out of here, buddy.
Yeah, so last week, congratulations to Joe814 for a awesome score last week of 442.25. Beat the second place person by 40 points, but he had Kyle Busch at a 104.25, Kevin Harvick at 79.5. He actually rostered Corey LaJoie with a 28 score, and that was a good pick. 34th position, finished with the top 25, so awesome on that pick. And then he had Kyle Larson, who obviously mixed with Kyle Busch as far as being the dominator, 0.5. J-Mac with a 37, going from 31st to 9th. David Reagan, that we talked about on the show as well, from a 23rd position to 12th, scoring 43 points at that minimal salary. So total score of 442.25. So congratulations to Joe814 on your victory last week, sir, at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Thanks again for tuning in. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Congratulations to the winners. And make sure you get your lineups submitted this week as the season-long standings are tightening up. People that dominate for a couple weeks, then they fall back. It just goes to show you how cool this format idea is. And we're glad you're all participating. Make sure you fill out your lineup. And, guys, let's win some money this week, Richmond style. Liehr?
Yes, sir. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it every single week. Thanks for tuning in. And hope you enjoy the race tomorrow night. Actually, Saturday night racing for once instead of having to do it on Sunday. So nothing like Saturday night racing, brother. I really enjoy Saturday night racing. So Richmond's always a fun, unique track that we only get to go to once a year. So time to enjoy it this weekend. And good luck on your picks. And hit us up if you guys have any questions. But thanks for watching the show. Appreciate it. Johnny Spielbush, any words, 40th-year-old birthday?
Well, I am for about your picks, but I hope you guys really are successful. I really like Truex coming in the top 5 finish. The other person I like is Bubba Wallace, so if you guys ever sit there and take my expertise into your knowledge, that's great. If not, then whatever. I love you guys.
All right. Dude, I have seen a shirtless Kyle in the background, and that is enough for me to sign off. and for our viewers. Like, have a good one, everybody. We're going to call it a night.
Well, have a great weekend, everybody.